My teen male parents are divorced. My dad cheated on my mom, which is the reason why. I was 7 at the time. My dad ended up staying with the woman he cheated with, and they had 3 kids together in the space of 3 years. Then their mom decided to leave, leaving my dad with the 3 kids. She hasn't seen her kids or done anything for them since, but my dad does get child support for them, I think. Back when all that happened, my parents shared custody of me. I was at my dad's 1 week and my mom's the next. But when I was old enough, in our state, tween here, I went before a judge and asked if I could live with my mom primarily. The judge granted it, but did order that I spent every other weekend with my dad at least. After my dad's other woman left and was no longer a part of their kids' lives, Dad turned to Mom, expecting her to step up and be part of their lives and to make sure I wasn't better off than them, but my mom never did. Sometimes I would hear Dad saying she should have my half-siblings over so they could see me more or so I could bond better with them at her house because he knew I didn't see them as just siblings and he knew I didn't exactly love them. It wasn't hard to figure out because I didn't show any interest in them. My dad wanted to change that and he wanted Mom to be part of it. I think Mom must have accused him of wanting me as a willing babysitter because Dad was super offended on the phone with her once and he said babysitting was the least of his concerns. He wanted all 4 of his kids to be close. Once, I was only staying at his house every other weekend, my dad really piled on the pressure for Mom to invite my half-siblings over to her house. Mom would do her best to keep it from me, but almost every time I was at Dad's house, he would text or call her about it, and I heard him mumble about it, or I heard him on the phone with her. He says the sibling relationship will stay distant if I hardly ever spend time with them. This whole thing is something I never really pushed back on. Dad has been worse with Mom and with me lately. I was with him over a week ago and we fought over it. He was like, your mom should have them over for Halloween weekend because they'd love to see you and to dress up for you to see it. And then he was like, tell your mom you want to have them come over. And I said no. He pushed and my half-siblings were close enough to hear. That's when I said I didn't want them to come over to Mom's. I never wanted them to come over. I told Dad I wouldn't care if I never saw them again. Dad yelled at me and then I yelled back. It was only after a few minutes we realized the kids heard because they started to cry. Dad told me I should be ashamed for saying what I did where they could hear. He texted me all through last week about it and told me he was ashamed of my behavior. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I've never understood this concept, where the cheating spouse leaves the marriage, has children with another person, and then expects the former spouse to embrace their children as though they were their own. What colour is the sky in their world? Your dad screwed around, literally, and found out. His children with his mistress are nothing to your mother. Your mother owes them not a minute of her day. Your dad doesn't get to dictate who your mother welcomes into her home either. Sadly, his kids are growing up without a mom, but instead of trying to fob off the work on your mom, maybe he needs to be a better dad and a better person. Just wanted to add that if Dad doesn't want his kids to hear, why did he start the conversation again where his kids could hear? His unrealistic expectations are making his kids feel rejected again and again. Dude, your dad should be the one that's ashamed. He's trying every trick in the book to get your mom to babysit his affair kids for him. Kids she has no relationship with. I won't discuss this any further. That's your mantra when he brings it up. If I were you, I'd probably stop going to Dad's house. That's what I think. I feel that partners who cheat, and probably have cheated before, have narcissistic tendencies. This guy doesn't want to take care of the children. He wants to sleep with different women to get his thrills. He doesn't want the responsibility or consequences of his actions. The best thing for him to do is to manipulate someone else into caring for them to get them off his plate. I, 35 male, work 11-hour days from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. My work is exhausting and I'm typically constantly busy for those 11 hours, except for a half-hour lunch break. My wife, 33, is a stay-at-home mom who cares for our preschooler and toddler. Her routine is less hectic than mine. For the past 4 years, as soon as I got home around 6:30, I would immediately start helping with dinner. My wife and I eat a later dinner than our kids and helping take care of the kids. Once the kids were asleep, I had to work from home until I went to sleep. I was okay with this, even though I was exhausted because I understood that sacrifices had to be made. However, I am now completely burning out. I told my wife that I need an hour to myself when I get home from work to unwind, so I'm not in a permanent state of stress and exhaustion. I have zero free time on weekdays. I offered to allow her a break from 7:30 to 8:30, while I put the kids to bed, but she didn't like that idea since it would mean my only time with the kids was when I put them to bed, and then she would never be involved. I understand her perspective, but I also can't keep continuing like this. I need an hour off to do my own thing so I don't go crazy. My wife thinks that the most important thing is me spending some time with my children, not just putting them to sleep, and that we need to make sacrifices for the next few years until they become more independent. I still haven't budged from my request since I'm in a state of burnout. Am I the idiot? You work 11-hour days and work from home before you go to bed, so 12 to 14 hours daily? Why? What do you do? The problem is not your wife, it's your job. It may be time to cut the work time, not the family time. That's ridiculous. You are the idiot to yourself. Yeah, he better make enough money to pay for a helper for his wife. But that aside, how is he even spending time with his wife? Is that even a relationship? Are people just okay living like this? Bro, the problem here is the work hours. You can't keep working yourself to death, OP. I have a buddy with a similar work-home life schedule. Last Tuesday, his pre-tween daughter was hit by a car at the park and didn't make it. He was at work when it happened. He didn't get a chance to see her before she passed. I've only spoken to him once since because he's not in his right mind right now and is entirely disconnected. But when I spoke to him, he said he would give anything to have the last year back. He barely saw his daughter. He left before she woke up and got home after she went to sleep. You need to find a work-home balance, dude. You're not the idiot, but consider what your wife is saying. Decompression is necessary, but you have to spend time with your family somewhere. Tomorrow is never guaranteed for anyone, and on the final pages, no one wishes they spent more time at work. I, 27 female, took my preschool son trick-or-treating on Halloween, as normal parents do. He was so adorable in his costume and his joy was infectious. We went along house after house, lots of smiles, exclamations of how cute he was, and of course loads of candy. Then we came to one house. We rang the bell. Initially there was no answer, but I could see there were lights on in the house, so clearly people were home. Also, I heard shuffling behind the door. They were looking through the peephole to see who was there. I rang again. Then, after 2 more minutes, I rang a third time, and the woman opened the door with a nasty look. Before my son could even say trick or treat, she pointed her porch light and rudely said, "Porch light off means don't ring here," and started to close the door. The look on my little boy's face was so heartbreaking, I couldn't let this nastiness slide. Plus, I'd never heard of such a rule and told her so and asked how she could break a little boy's heart like that. They repeated the rule and said she didn't have any candy anyway and to please leave her alone. I asked what kind of idiot doesn't make sure to have some bare minimum candy around on October the 31st, like use a damn calendar. She said not everyone wants to be part of Halloween and slammed the door in my face. I comforted my poor son and explained some people are just terrible Grinches, and we moved on to a few more houses, but the night was ruined. It got worse. I got back home and saw my phone had insane notifications. Apparently this woman had recorded the whole interaction on her door camera and posted it to the local neighborhood face group. Anyway, the backlash was so bad I had to leave the group. I'm still getting horrible DMs. Apparently the porch light rule is real. It's a way to signal you're opting out of Halloween. Who the heck wants to opt out of Halloween? Even my husband won't back me up. He knew the rule, and while he's sympathetic to the social media abuse I'm getting, he said it was stupid of me to engage when she didn't want to participate. I'm upset he thinks I should have let rudeness against our little boy slide. Am I the idiot for confronting this rude woman? Hey, this house doesn't have its lights on and there's no Halloween decorations. Let's go ring the doorbell anyway. No answer? Let's just keep ringing it until someone comes out. Oh, they aren't doing Halloween? Well, come on, how could they be so cruel to my son? He's the best kid in the world and everyone should have treats for him. Jesus, yes, you are the idiot. Forget the porch light rule. If you ring once and no one answers, you move on. You don't stay because you can see the light on inside. You don't ring 3 times. I know this might be a wildly insane concept to you, but Halloween is not for everyone, and they're not a Grinch for not wanting to give candy away. It's fine to explain to your son that not everyone celebrates the same holidays, and the rudeness wasn't to your son, it was to you. Yup, OP overdid it big time. Turning off the porch light is the universal sign for leave me alone. The lady even said she didn't have candy, but what did OP do? She kept knocking. Did OP think Snickers bars were going to appear magically? Come on, you are the idiot. LOL, right? Passing out candy on Halloween is not a legal requirement. Some people don't. Shocker. You are not entitled to candy from every house in your neighborhood. I can't believe an adult would behave like this. Homeowners may feel sick or not celebrate Halloween in their culture. It doesn't matter. It's none of your business, and they don't owe you an interaction. Especially if you label people as idiots for not having candy. Entitled much? Also, if you got backlash after people saw the video and not even your husband had your back, you probably were extremely rude to that woman. My wife, 37, and I, 37 male, have 3 sons. Kian, teen, Ford, young teen, and Orson, tween. Earlier today, the boys all had their annual physicals. I took them to the doctor, my wife was at work. After the doctor, we had free time because the boys were off from school due to the appointment. Our appointments were for when they first opened. Ford asked if we could go shopping for Christmas decor, given Halloween was finally over. Ford is one of those people who loves to go all out for Christmas. It's his favourite holiday, and he always decorates his room full of Christmas stuff. I agreed and took the boys to some stores to look for decor. Ford bought quite a bit of stuff, and Kian and Orson could also buy stuff. I told the boys I'd buy them whatever they wanted. Ford was especially excited about a few baseball-related Christmas decorations he got, as well as a few non-Christmas baseball things. Kian got a few items for his room, like decorative pillows. The issue came with Orson. Orson is not into decorating or anything like that. He also has more niche interests, for lack of a better word, like animes, science, etc., so we usually go to more antique or thrift-type stores for him. I had offered to take Orson after this, but he said he didn't want to go. Once we got in the car after we were done in the home decor stores, I was going to drive the kids to lunch, but Orson started complaining and saying some disgusting stuff. He started telling Ford that decorating and design is for slurs, he used the actual slur, and he started complaining that this made Ford look gay. I told Orson to stop and that this was inappropriate, but he continued to rant on and started complaining about Ford in general. At this point, I told the boys we were going home and we'd go out for lunch later. We got home a bit under an hour ago. I tried talking to Orson, but he refused, saying he did nothing wrong. I asked where he learned that language and he said it didn't matter. I then told him to give me his phone and he refused until I told him he could have some of our extra Halloween candy if he gave me it. I looked through his phone and found absolutely disgusting texts in a group chat that he and about 10 other boys he's friends with are in. Incredibly disrespectful memes that made fun of autism, ADHD, LGBT and more. I just called my wife trying to tell her that we needed to sit down when she got home to discuss this, but she started blasting me for taking his phone without her permission and saying that I was too invasive and that she'd never agree to that if she was there, and if Orson wants to say mean stuff in private, that's not our place to judge. I'm still very emotional about this, as my wife has never got mad at me like this. She was yelling before she hung up. She rarely raises her voice. Am I the idiot? LOL, you bribed your kid with candy to be able to check his phone after he spewed hate speech at his brother. A+ parenting all round. So your kid is a little baby proto-bigot. It happens, but it's good to approach it from that angle. He isn't a perfectly innocent little boy who learned it from older kids. He gravitated towards friends who feel the way he feels about stuff. This is probably not the first time he's thought your Christmas-loving elder son was being a bit gay. It's just the first time he felt emboldened enough to say it. He's still young and you can probably get him to see how immature his attitude is, but I would strongly recommend therapy and active engagement as a parent over giving him candy to get him to pretty please do what you tell him to do. Also, take a hard look at your wife here. Why is she coming at you for trying to figure out your kid's behavioural problems and not being mortified her kid is like this? Is it just that he's her baby boy, or is she just somewhat cool with bigots? You are not the idiot, but seriously, why are you rewarding his behaviour? If my hypothetical wife was okay with my hypothetical kid being a bigot, I'm pretty sure I hypothetically married a bigot. Imagine that type of justification in any other situation. He harassed someone, but it's okay because he did it in private. Like, am I exaggerating? Probably, but you get what I'm saying, right? Being private doesn't mean it's safe from judgment. Or, Orson is her favourite child and her baby prince can do no wrong in her eyes. Side note, you're the authority figure. The phone belonged to you, the person who paid for it, and was given to your son. If you ask for it, you take it. You don't give him a gift, extra Halloween candy, in exchange. Babying him like this is likely what got you into this situation in the first place. I, 26 female, am 7 months pregnant, and my sister wants to throw me a baby shower. My sister-in-law was pregnant at the same time, but she sadly lost her baby about a month ago and has been, understandingly, devastated since. My husband approached me last night and asked if I could let his sister organise the baby shower instead of mine, but I told him that it was too late as my sister had everything planned already. He then asked me if I could tell my sister to cancel everything so his sister could handle it. I told him again that that was impossible and that I doubted his sister would even want to organise somebody else's baby shower. He thinks that organising our baby shower will help his sister move forward and heal a little bit. I told him that as somebody who had had a loss, I would have hated to throw somebody's baby shower a month after it. He said my experience was not universal and then called me selfish. We had dinner with her recently, and when my mother-in-law brought up our pregnancy, she left the table. That's why he thinks that preparing our baby shower could help her, and it's why I think it'd be the opposite. I also don't want to bring it up with her because I don't know how she'll react, and I'm scared she'll think I'm throwing my pregnancy in her face. Not the idiot. Your husband hasn't confirmed whether his sister even wants to throw the baby shower. She can't handle hearing about the baby at dinner. Imagine planning a party all about someone else's baby when you don't have your own. It's like a constant reminder of what could have been. Second, I'm also amazed that he thinks he knows what's best for you and is unwilling to consider your thoughts about this. This reads like his crazy mother thought it would be a good idea. Opie's husband's lips are moving, but mother-in-law's words are coming out. The road to the bad place is paved with good intentions. It's nice that your husband wants to help his sister cope with her loss, and if it was certain that organising the baby shower would help her, it would be worth the thought to change plans even at this point. But we don't know that, and neither does she, and neither their mother. Your sister-in-law should be allowed to grieve, not forced to get over it. In her place, I'd imagine planning a baby shower would be like forcing a red-hot poker into her chest, reminding her of the baby shower she won't be having. Please explain to your husband that sister-in-law needs his love and support, not being told, move on and get over it. He needs to back off.